Good evening, seekers of truth and arcane knowledge. I am your brother Magh. I just wanted to talk for a minute because I spoke to a friend today that I haven't spoke to in a better part of a decade. And he told me he's been sober for the last 7 years. And this guy used to run the bars, man. He was pro. And when he told me what it was that they got him straight, he said it was his family. It was being there for his family. And something greater than himself inspired him to care for himself. So I wanted to talk about real quick the importance of not undervaluing your life and loving yourself, because you cannot properly love somebody if you do not love yourself. Shadow integration, in my mind, is one of the biggest steps and hurdles that you face in your personal spiritual journey. Especially with this new modality of love and light, it's kind of not seen as a good thing to delve into your shadow, but your true happiness lies in finding out why those shadowy areas are so dark to you. And learning to be okay with the things that get you scared, the things that make you frightened, the aspects of you that make you frightened. Is what ultimately will make you happy. I wanted to touch real quick on pride. Now, pride is obviously one of the 7 deadly sins, and they say to watch out for it, to not be prideful. However, pride is important in building confidence and building self-esteem, even in building community. So it's almost like taking a look at any subject where there's a good and a bad, a light and a shadow. If we can look at, being proud of ourselves, being proud of our job, being proud of our family, proud of what we've done. However, not being too prideful to know when to ask for help, too prideful to get in our own way. I'm extremely guilty of this, and I'm still working on it, but something to mull over. That's your 1 minute wisdom for today. I want to talk a little bit today about sacrifice. The concept of sacrifice for me has evolved as I've grown as a person. The concept stemming from the sacrifice of Christ, the giving of oneself in order to further your message, further your cause, the betterment of others, the betterment of life. Personal sacrifice is more what I'm looking at to touch on today. Sometimes when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling low, when you're feeling like you can't get out of a situation, you might have to give up something that you're accustomed to, or you might have to give up something that you love in order to further benefit your life or your situation. Sometimes you got to give up something, be a little uncomfortable to break through that glass ceiling, and that's what's going to make the difference. I was talking to a friend today and wanted to share a piece of wisdom that was bestowed upon me through this conversation. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It is not. It is paved with selfish intentions, because here's the thing. If I buy you a birthday present, let's say I buy you a bike for a birthday present, who's the asshole here? You for not biking, or me for getting you a responsibility instead of getting you something that you enjoy? I know my intentions are good, and I know why I do things. That's all I got. I was driven to make a comment. If you always follow your heart, You'll always be where you're supposed to be. Because the plain, simple fact is, if you're not happy, you need to move. You need to get out. You need to make something happen. You can be happy and unsatisfied. But if you're happy in the moment, then you are exactly where you need to be. Sleep well. And I was supposed to be helping somebody with a reading. However, I'm still waiting, and I'm feeling kind of talky right now. I would like to discuss the 3 forms of decision making that you should always trust and how you should trust them. Your brain. We put extra focus on this when not necessary. People tell you get out of your head. There's a reason for that. The Egyptians didn't even think it was necessary. They would remove it, and they would leave the heart and remove your brain for your next life because they didn't think it'd be necessary. Think of your brain as a tuner, an antenna, radio capturing device. This helps you decipher information, but that's it. Next is your heart. This is where your decision should be coming from. You ever made a decision and immediately regretted it? You ever not felt right about agreeing to something? It's your heart telling you you shouldn't be there. And now, don't let anybody ever tell you that your feelings are invalid, because they're not. Your feelings are always validated. And anybody trying to tell you that you should feel bad about not feeling the way they feel is manipulating you in one of the worst kinds of way. Always, always follow your heart. The next one's your gut. Your gut is the intuitive system for your lower chakras. Now, just the same way as reality manifests and matter manifests, the higher you go, more whimsical, and airy things become, and the lower you go, the more solid and grounding things become. Your gut tells you when you are not safe. If you have made a decision and your gut is telling you that you need to shift, your gut is always right. And remember, if you gotta force it, it's not a fart, it's probably shit. But never, and I'm telling you right now, never just follow your feet. Because you know what happens? You'll end up at freaking Walmart. I love all of you guys. Yeah, some of you a little more. This is going to be probably a 2-minute wisdom. This is the first part of this I want to deliver through a story. This billionaire decides he's going to celebrate his success. Many years of business success. So he decides he's going to have a party. But not in a traditional sense. He wants to show off a bit. So he invites everybody who's ever worked for him, who's ever had company, anything involving with his success. And he has this outside around his pool. He has a pool filled with sharks and piranhas and eels and all kinds of these deadly fish. And amongst all the partying, he toasts and says, "To my success, I've swam in troubled waters, and this pool represents the troubled waters that I've had to navigate in order to reach my success. And I will challenge anybody to swim across this pool, and I will reward them with either a mansion, a prominent position in my company, or stock to do whatever they want with." No sooner does he finish this sentence, there's a big splash in the water. Man swims hurriedly across to the other side, jumps out, panting, and everybody's cheering for him. They know what just happened. That man is set for the rest of his life. While everyone's cheering and applauding, the billionaire walks up to the man and says, "That was very, very impressive. That was very brave. What inspired you to go into the waters? What do you want? What prize do you want for your accomplishment?" The man, still panting, straightens up and he says, "I don't care about that right now." Shocks the billionaire. He says, "Well, why?" The man says, "I don't care about that right now because first I want to find out who pushed me in." Change sometimes happens against our will. Sometimes that change can be the best thing in your life. You just have to get through the waters to find out. I love you all. Sleep well. I had some things that I want to talk about today. I was going to do a video on shadow work because last night I ended up having... 2 nights ago I wanted to do a video about shadow work. Last night I ended up actually doing some shadow work. And tonight I'm not going to talk about shadow work. Tonight I want to talk about love and hate. It's often viewed as 2 ends of a coin, the opposite of each other. I disagree. If love is the end-all be-all to everything, if God is love, and that is our where we want to be, where we want to return to is ultimate love and that warm feeling, then the opposite of that is apathy. Just not caring, feeling empty. Best advice I could ever give you is to just be yourself. Because haters are going to hate. That's their job. They're haters. Thank you. Let them do their job. You know, was it Teddy Roosevelt that said, if you have not, Winston Churchill maybe, if you've gone through life and you don't have enemies, then you've not truly lived your life. You're going to upset people when you're authentic, because the majority of people are fake. To the tear, to the bone. And it's sad. Stick to your guns, stick to your principles. Be yourself. Never apologize for being yourself. And remember, you have the right to feel however you fucking feel. So, if there's somebody that you truly despise, that truly ruffles you the wrong way, bothers you to all hell, remember this fact. Things can always be boiled down to its most simplistic form. It is true. Everybody is a mirror of yourself, because you can only understand a person as deeply as you understand yourself. If you have not dove into your emotions and why you feel a certain way, you're not going to understand why somebody else feels that way as well, or feels the opposite. So, if there's somebody that truly bothers you, that you're having an issue with, stop and examine what part of it is actually triggering you. What specifically? If it's a reoccurring issue, then it's being done on purpose. However, if it's something that is just irritating because it irritates you, consider why and examine why you. Best example out of my own life that I can give for this is the following. A friend of mine made a comment to me once that was very, for all intents and purposes, it was funny. It should have been funny. I should have laughed. But I didn't. I took personal offense to it. And it was a joke to where, like, you'll be at home, where else would you be? And I got mad. And I had to examine why I got mad, because this friend wouldn't just be trying to make me mad. So when I stopped and thought about it, I felt insulted because I work from home. I had just relaunched a business after losing my house, losing everything. I lost everything. And rebuilding. So when I do my work from home, I take it very seriously. And I take my time invested in that very, very seriously. So it felt like my time was not being appreciated, that they can just come whenever they wished. Now, the deeper I got into this, the more I realized that this was coming from a place of insecurity, because when I first started building businesses, I built several actually. It was always this like, oh well, what are you doing that for? Like, what are you investing so much time in that? And it was always this like negative mindset, and I overcome it every time. And when you have a certain level of, when you're good at something and people deny that you are good at something, it gets under your skin. You get irritated by it because you want to prove it. So when I say stuff like, oh, I'm working from home, and my friends are like, oh, so you're not doing anything? Yes, I'm working. I'm just working from home. Anyway, examine your part in the shadow work. Oh, hello. Welcome, Seekers of Truth and Arcane Knowledge. I'm your brother Magh. A couple things I want to touch on today, mostly power and control. Probably do 2 segments because these things coincide, and I've never about them. Most people equate power with control, because surely if you control something, then you have power over it. Isn't that right? The only thing you ever truly control is how you react to your emotions, because I'm telling you now, you can't even control your emotions. So, your reaction to the world and the energy you present the world with what is given to you is the only thing you will truly ever control. This is one of the reasons that gratitude is such an important part in your everyday, should be in such an important part in your everyday living. Because when you show the world and the universe the respect of like knowing that what has come to you is of divine timing and divine planning, you must learn the lesson with the obstacles that have been given before you. Things that have been given before. So your reaction is gold. It's gold. And again, the only thing you truly control. When you force power through control, this is what's actually happening. You are creating a hierarchy where the people below you have to do what you're told. So they will constantly be looking for ways to stick it to you to feel like they have control over you. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You ever had that one boss that everybody hated? Oh, we couldn't wait for them to leave the place, and then like, oh, now we can do whatever we want. Like, I'm gonna, whatever you did to stick it to the man at the time, because you were unappreciated. Because that power, that control was forced upon you, or that power was forced upon you through control. Now, this is why, actually, last point I'm going to make to this is why it's said that the ears of the king should ring with the voice of the people, because a good king knows that without the people, he is no king. And the people can overturn the king somewhat easily. That we need to be reminded of in today's society, again, I guess. We are the power of our representatives. When we say that, when we speak of the president being the most powerful man in the world, we are talking about a country full of people who decided who they wanted to be in charge. Because that's how our country runs. If you have an elected official, that automatically trumps any appointed official legally. That's why a county sheriff has more power and more authority than a city cop, because city cops are appointed and a county sheriff is voted. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject. Control of yourself, control of your immediate environment. That's how you... That's the only thing you truly control. Because as soon as you get comfortable thinking you are in control of anything, so the universe comes to come by and like kick that stool out from underneath you and be like, bitch, I told you. power is tricky. Because power covers so many meanings and definitions. But for the specific one that we're discussing today, when you seek to have power over somebody, typically people are, the first thing that goes to you is control. You're looking to control them in a certain way. But true power does not come from taking freedoms from people. True power comes from giving power. Because when you empower the people around you, they give it back to you. And if everybody in your circle is empowered by you, it makes you the most powerful man alive. Person. So, if control can do that, imagine what inspiration can do. The same way that happiness only works one way. In order to get happy, you got to give happy, because when you chase happy directly, you are chasing pleasure, which is a spiral, a downward spiral. Same thing. Those who seek power should not be trusted with it. Those who inspire others should be allowed to. Our first president refused to be president. He did not want to be the first president. They finally, it went around circles so many times. They were like, "Look, George, you're gonna have to take it. We all voted. You're it." That's how we got our first president. Always look to enrich your surroundings and make those around you feel capable, welcome, and worthy. Remember, power through fear and intimidation only works while you have fear and intimidation. So once that leverage of that fear or that intimidation goes away, then you're left with a bunch of people who resent you. And they're looking for a reason to come at you. That's why I hide my friends, man. I always hide my friends. And unless you're doing something particularly stupid, then I'll call you out on it. Not in a bad way. I usually call you out like, let me seek to understand what you're doing here, because I don't want to sound stupid by making fun of you thinking you're doing something stupid when really you're freaking genius. So I always double check. What is your mentality? What is your thought process on this before I start giving you shit? Then I'll give you shit. But until then, hype your friends, man. They don't cost nothing. So I would like to thank you all for coming around to my little corner of the world here. Let's see, what are the taglines of these? Let's do a mayhem thing. Words are power, music is the weapon. I am your brother Magh, reminding you, shake it more than 3 times, you might as well clock out for lunch.